everyone, every student from SOBD soil. We welcome one of the greatest and finest art filmmakers in India. We have Mr. Deb Medhekar with us. You name the brand, he has worked with the brand, the greatest and greatest brands he has worked with. His latest, the first feature film he has worked was Bioscopewala, and it was initially rated 8.6 on IMDB, and now it is at 7.6. And I recommend everyone to watch that film because I believe that is the future of Indian cinema. And I mean, in that sense, Dev sir is a true leader in cinema, in filmmaking. And I can talk about Mr. Deb Medhekar whole day, but I mean, I think he told me that you should not speak about me because you are always you're not honest when you talk about me, and you get emotional. So I'll not speak too much. So, sir, so let's invite Mr. Deb Medhekar, the real Bioscopewala of Indian cinema. Mr. Deb.
Hi guys, it's really, it's never not embarrassing getting introduced. It's always embarrassing.
Sir, what haven't I tell you, sir? I created that video and I don't know that video got, I lost that video and the software.
It's not a worry, guys. See, I'll tell you what, I have never in my life done this before. It was really sweet that Anish asked me to do this. And somewhere in the back of my head, I always had it that, yeah, someday I'm going to share what I have learned, like people shared before me. And I think that's the great part about life, because there is always people a little ahead of you. We're on the same path, right? We're on the same path. I'm a few steps ahead of you. And like when I was in your place as a student, there was somebody over there to show me, hey, this is the path I'm taking and this is how you're going to see things. And all I'm here today is actually to share that with you. I want to make it very clear that what I'm going to share with you today isn't about the classroom aspect of what marketing or advertising is about. It's a very personal journey I'm going to share with you, and how I perceive it and how I survive in this industry, because it isn't an easy industry. So it's an exacting industry.
So before Dev, you start, in fact, I think it would be nice for me to, in fact, give you a little brief of what exactly we are. What are we made up of? Because it is important to understand the context. I don't know whether you have ever heard of the school called the School of Inspired Leadership, or SOIL, where in fact Anish is currently joined. Have you heard of this before?
I must confess.
Yes, so absolutely. So I know it. We are a small organization. We are a small institute. We started some 12 years back. And this was started by a gentleman called Mr. Anil Sachdev. He was the one person who is actually a follower of Chinmay Mission, is a trustee of the Chinmay Mission also. And he, he's a very strong believer of the right brain. He believes that creativity is something which is actually the core of any success. And he created this school with this primary intention of seeing to it that how can we bring in people from various walks of life and inspire the students to become better leaders. So he calls it creating better versions of oneself. So every individual is one version. How do you improve that version of yours? By taking inspiration from people from various walks of life. And we bring in people from various walks of life. And I'm really indebted to Anish that he actually reached out to you, and I'm blessed that you actually accepted this offer. Because, I am a professor of marketing, but I do understand one thing, that marketing only happens when you can influence a person in a positive manner through your creative pursuits. And this creative pursuit is given shape by people like you, who have been doing exceptional work in the field of creativity. And all the students who you're watching here, they are actually one of those who are going to really make a difference in the world outside. Not necessarily the business world, but in any walk of life where they go. Many of them will go into social enterprises. Many of them will start their own ventures. But I think creativity will be something which they will come in, handy. And your journey would be very inspirational, because I think you can tell them how exactly you went through and, treaded those difficult, paths. And, in Hindi we call it, सोने को तराशने के लिए उसको आग से जाना पड़ता है. So you would have gone through fire to, be what you are. So with these words, I would like you to, take forward and
Sir, I would like to share something about Deb, sir.
yeah.
I met him really long back, and I have to say this that this guy is not normal. He is a superhuman, and I mean, he can teach you maths, he can teach you physics, he can teach you anything and everything on this planet, and sometimes not by speaking a single word. You just
Yeah.
listen to him, and you will learn a new thing. Your perception will change. He's such kind
Beautiful.
of genius. He's like something really. I
Beautiful.
mean,
Beautiful.
and thank you, sir, for coming. I mean, it's really great, sir. You just made my day, and we are lucky, sir. We feel privileged, sir.
You're taken into 8 minutes of what I was going to share, so now I'm going to jump in. The only reason he says without speaking any word because I'm used to patka maroking everybody back into shape who doesn't.
It's very difficult to speak in front of Deb, sir, on sets. He is like very powerful on sets. I mean,
Okay, stop. Can I share screen?
yes,
Sure.
yes.
Okay, so you know what? I'm going to share screen in a second. Let me just give you a little bit. So I was figuring out how best I can reach out in a way where it's not about this is what advertising is and this is how it works. Thing is, we all think that advertising is easy. We think that कोई किसी को idea आता है मस्त सा अजीब सा idea and then you get converted. But it's so difficult because every time you have an idea, it has to go through so many corporate levels, and the corporate guys, they've all gone to like big IIT, MBA schools, and they're sitting there and they're trying to understand what you're trying to make of it. And I've realized that the part of the process is trying to get them on board first to what you're doing. I'm going to therefore take you through initially what constitutes the advertising industry, what are the roles of production houses, what are the roles of creative agencies, different hierarchies within both of them. And eventually what I want to do is head towards the idea of how a script is written, how the script gets to the level of shooting board, and finally you shoot it, and then finally the product comes on the shelf. So what I've done is I've actually called today's session from script to shoot to shelf. So I'm going to start. I don't know how this works. So now you can see only my screen.
Yeah, we can see everything, sir.
We can see you also.
You also, sir.
Okay. So the idea is to go from script to shoot to shelf, and this is where it comes down to. We are at the end of the day. I'll tell you where I got into advertising. I came fresh out of FTI. I remember I was at the Prithvi Cafe in Bombay. I used to be then a huge fan of Anurag Kashyap, and I went to Anurag, and that time he was somebody I knew as a filmmaker, and I was a student. So I went up to him and I said, I want to meet you. And he looked at me and he said, क्या बनाना चाहता है life में? I said, फिल्में बनाना चाहता हूँ. He said, पर तू ना एक काम कर, तू थोड़ा सा advertising में कर जा, थोड़ा पैसा बना, अच्छी, buy the car that you want, buy the house that you want, and then you can make your first film. And I said, why are you saying that? He said, there are two things. He said, one is when you start making films, when you struggle, you get used to just struggling to make films. And it becomes not about how far your imagination can go. The second thing is, he said, we are practicing an art that only gets better with more practice. I won't know how to take a certain kind of a shot unless I've taken that shot, unless I figure out how it looks in my head and I can convert it onto screen. And there is no place in advertising where you get somebody else to pay for you something. I'm making films at somebody else's kharcha. I, of course, respect the product. I'm pushing for the product. But I'm in that process, honing my skills so that when I make my first film, everything that I had learned in advertising got applied. There was no wastage. Everything was clear. I knew how to set up exactly a scenario so that I could tell a story in the correct way. And I love him for that advice. I mean, since then, we've both grown apart and we meet at parties and stuff. But I always tell him that, Anurag, that one advice is there with me forever, because today I'm 150 ads old. But those 150 ads and that one feature film is something that I'm really, really proud of. And that's the one thing that I'm going to ask everybody to keep in mind. First little note, if you're right. Don't ever put out material that you're not proud of. Don't put out material uh, that you feel is substandard. Don't put out material that you don't want to associate. Guys, I'm going to request everybody else to mute themselves. I'm going to make, don't ever put out material that you compromise.
Arthur, can you mute your mic, please?
Guys, please mute, sir.
That's okay. So now I'm going to go into this little thing, which is a workflow. I don't know how to put the thing off. Okay, now it's gone to the bottom. That's nice. So if you can see my screen right now, this is how it works. At the very top is your client. The client is generally a large corporate that owns multiple brands underneath it. Okay. Every time they decide to add a new product, they decide to put an ad out for it. What is the purpose of an ad? To tell the world that this product exists, right? It is to say what are the good things about the product, what is the price point of the product. All of this is very carefully hidden into every ad. If I was to make a Vim commercial and in that house show this one massive marble bungalow and you know Alishan garages with big cars, it would scare everybody who uses Vim, and they would never buy the product. They will say, oh, this is something that's beyond our reach. At the same time, you have to make the world aspirational, so that people who normally would not use Vim and use one of the cheaper substitutes say, Arey, we should also, we are growing up. Everybody desires to grow better, so they aspire to better their lives. So we need to convert a certain economic segment into using our product. We need to figure out what are the good things about the product. The most important thing is to package it in a way where for that 30-second period where you're fighting for people's attention, commercials are a very strange phenomenon. They are an ironic phenomenon because entertaining content ke beech mein you have a 2.5 minute window. Traditionally, people are going to change channels. Ad aaya, channel change kiya. We have to figure out how to make them stay. And that isn't easy. The task is cut out for you. You are set out from the starting with a losing race. But you have to win that race. In that 30 seconds, I have to first grab the person's attention through creativity, maybe get them involved emotionally if I can. That's why the ads that always are memorable are ads that make you feel emotion, make you feel, yaar, ye mera desh hai. Yeah, they make you feel, you know what, main jab chota tha na, main aise karta tha. You know, the famous Jalebi ad from years ago, or, they all come back from our childhood. They bring back something. Hamara Bajaj is always Hamara Bajaj. Even for you kids, when you guys know, you were not probably at an age where you would remember Hamara Bajaj, but the song stays in our head because it is epic. Because somewhere the idea of the country and patriotism has got into what it means to be Bajaj. And that's the genius. And luckily, I work, now I'm part of a director's guild, like Equinox. The first generation is Shimantra Ghoshal, who taught Ram Madhwani. Ram Madhwani taught me. And SG is the one who made the Hamara Bajaj commercial or the Cherry Blossom commercial that we remember from years ago. And Ram made the Happy Dent commercial that everybody remembers, or the Airtel films. And I learned under these guys. So what happens is that there is lineage. There is a point of view being passed on. So when a client says, this is my product, he's not just thinking, ye Vim ka soap hai, wo aaj ke zamane ke liye bech raha hu. They have 25 years of advertising behind. How the woman holds the soap, what she says about the soap, whether they laugh about it, whether they smile about it, all of it has to do with a corporate identity, a brand identity that they've built over time. And they have to sustain that brand identity. They can't suddenly break away and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make this time's commercial about bachelors using Vim soap. You have to figure. So, constantly, we are trying to fight for attention and trying to fight for making sure that people remember your commercial, but constantly your road is being mapped. Okay? There are hundreds of corporate rules that you have to stick to, and the road is getting thinner and thinner. And out of that, you have to find out how I can make this commercial something that is memorable. Now, client has introduced a new product. They say, bhai, hum log ko ye bechna hai market mein. What is the best way to sell it? So on their side, they have a marketing team. The marketing team will be given certain goals. इतने महीने में इतना होना चाहिए, इतने महीने में इतना होना चाहिए. What is the positioning of the brand? How do you want to tell the people how to look at this brand? Is it a premium brand? Is it a budget brand? So they approach a agency. An agency is something like a creative pool of people who come up with great ideas. So for a year, a client will hire an agency on a product, and they will sign up for everything from doing print media to doing online media to doing TV commercials. And within all of this, they are paid X amount of money for the whole year, which is a locked fee. But the agency can't make films, so they have to go to a production house. So before they reach a production house, the script has to be written, because I don't have anything as a director. I have nothing to do with writing of the script. I'm sent a script. The script sticks to everything that the brand has stood for. But before I see the script, there is a whole layer of things that happens, which is your first line. So pehle client aaya, client has come up with a product, they've gone and briefed the agency. What do the agency do? They have brand planners. Brand planning is a very difficult job because it does not involve creativity, but it is creativity. You have to now think about what is the brand going to be perceived as by the majority of the country in the next 5 years. So in 5 years, if I want to make my product a premium brand, but I'm starting as a budget brand, you have to chalk out a whole growth कि first year में ऐसे होगा, second year में ऐसे होगा, third year में हम लोग हल्का सा strategy change करेंगे ताकि it goes premium, क्योंकि हम the client expects to increase the cost of the product because obviously he wants to increase his profits. And fourth year tak we will be established as a young premium brand, and I want to be top of the market by fifth year. So brand planners come out with the idea of what is the bigger picture of things. Then they say, okay, creative director ko bulao. Creative director is generally the most stressed out man anywhere in the advertising industry because there are very few good creative directors. Geniuses, people who can come up with ideas like this, people who know the nuss of the country. You know, it's not easy to know what will sell. Har friend zaruri hota hai is a line that Aggie came up with like this. But what a big line that is. Nobody gets left behind. Har friend zaruri hota hai. Come to a network that gets you all your friends together. What an incredible line. That line has fed 8-10 years of Airtel advertising. And that's genius. It's incredible. Now, what is a creative director's job? Creative director's job is to understand, okay, my brand planner wants this. The planning is to be done towards here. Let's think of an idea where I can place the script. Then I think, okay, let's say I'm dealing with Vim or COVID is going on. So let's write a short story, or let's write an ad film about two sister-in-laws who are locked up in the same house during COVID, and there's constant friction between them. So he leaves it at that. It's a great idea, you know. It's a great idea because meko dynamic mila, meko characters interesting mile. They briefed the copywriters. If you see creative directors ke niche copywriters hai. Copywriter bolta theek hai. I know what the brief is. The brief is I have to place it in one house with two women talking. How do I now tell this story? So the copywriter starts thinking of stories, and he starts writing. Now, I will tell you, this is a film that we just did, and I will share it with you in a few minutes. But the reason I'm taking you through this whole process through Vim is because it's a brand that we all know about. Now, if you consider this Vim film that I'm going to show you in some time, there are two women. There are two sister-in-laws. So there is a Jethani, the elder sister-in-law, and a Devrani, who is the young, newly married sister-in-law. Between them, there is a dynamic. Thoda, you know, there is a tutu meme, there is an up show-offness. So, ठीक है. तो अभी इन दोनों में से एक हीरो होगा और एक होगा जिसको हम लोग हीरो को कन्वर्ट करने वाले हैं, जो पहले विम इस्तेमाल नहीं करता पर विम इस्तेमाल करने नहीं लगता. So who would you choose? Let's say because you want to make your planner has told you this is about technology that comes, you know, it's a soap that has plastic cover at the bottom ताकि वो गले नहीं. So technology है, the technology should come from, you know, the new generation because they know more about technology. If it was about customs and if it was about usul and principles, then it would have come from the older Devrani. Older Jethani. She would have become the center of the storytelling. So suddenly the younger Devrani is decided as the heroine. But how will she now illustrate कि आप मेरा बार आपके बार से बेहतर है without insulting her? So we will draw multiple scenarios. एक चीज में the dynamic is such that the Jethani is feeling insecure because of the Devrani. तो हर चीज में वो बोलती है कि नहीं मेरा भी देखो, मेरा फोन भी है ना waterproof है, मेरा वॉच भी waterproof है. But then she realizes मेरा soap तो गल गया. Then the younger one says आपका soap waterproof नहीं है. Instantly you know you have a great script. But again, this is where the director comes in. Script लिखी गई है. Script says क्या आपका soap waterproof नहीं है. It goes to three different production houses. Three different production houses write treatment notes and a quotation. A treatment note क्या होता है मैं आपको लेके जाऊँ. I'll take you guys through it later. But the idea is, how is the director seeing the film as a treatment note? Now, why did I get this film? Because I wrote a treatment note, and the one line on the top says, I don't want to make it about a villain and a hero. I want to make it about a happy family where there is no aggression. There is no typical TV serial type tu मैं between the two. And instead, when she says, भाभी आपको सब waterproof नहीं है, it's almost a throwaway line. It's an easy line. It's not भाभी आपका soap waterproof नहीं है becomes mean. भाभी आपका soap waterproof नहीं है becomes taunting. But if it becomes भाभी आपका soap waterproof नहीं है becomes cute. Suddenly it becomes, oh, it's a cute chanchal relationship between them. It's a mischievous relationship between the two. And then between their two reactions and actions, we have a great bond forming. What we have done is, originally, if it was distance between the two, through the film we have seen these two characters come closer and become one. So I said, ending shot में ना आपकी जो लाइन है मैं आधी आधी काटूंगा, आधी इसको दूंगा, आधी इसको दूंगा, ताकि ऐसे लगे कि दोनों दोस्त बन गए हैं. So they become friends through the process. So this is how the idea of my treatment note happened. So I wrote the treatment note. I sent it, like you can see my screen. There was a quotation. There is a quote war that happens. We can do it in these many lakhs. We can do it in this many lakhs. We'll give you this. We'll give you this. Whole quote happens and goes back to the client. The client then decides who do we really trust to make this film. And they go with that production house, which is where I really become the center of everything. Now, the client has done their job, the agency has done their job, and now the production house comes on, which is what this whole process is. So, first the script gets written, then the director's script gets written, then a treatment note gets written, and then a storyboard is made. Now, if you notice, in all of this, I still have not got anywhere close to filmmaking. What is the script? The script will simply tell you what the agency guy wrote. What is the director's script? I'll write, I see this not playing out in a, in a room. Imagine they're watering plants in the terrace. बहुत सारे सुंदर से plants हैं. Beautiful sky in the background. छोटा North Indian town है. North Indian town के terrace में बाकी की terraces दिख रही हैं, हरियाली दिख रही है. उसके बीच में एक सुंदर सा रॉट आयरन का टेबल है व्हाइट कलर का, और जो देवरानी है, the younger woman, she's watering the plants while the older one has sat down and she's just watering one pot at the center of this table. While watering that plant, some water drips onto the phone. The Devrani notices it, comes, shakes the phone off. She says, "Bhabhi, aapka phone." Devrani, the older sister-in-law, says, "Hey, don't worry about it. It's waterproof." And in that it's waterproof, she tries to say, "Hey, I know about technology too. You don't worry." Suddenly, now I can see the film. Can you see the film? Can you see the difference between how the description of a agency script could have been versus a director's script could have been? ठीक है, चलो. Then we'll do another location. They come, now they're in the kitchen, and I want to cue water again. I want to talk about waterproof. So I want the kitchen, traditionally when we see kitchens, ऐसे cold kitchens लगते हैं. ऐसे नहीं लगता advertising में कोई खाना पका रहा है. So I said 100% मेरे को steam चाहिए. So just freshly boiled alus are being thrown into the water. What steam is rising out of it, and while she's cooling them off, tap से पानी उसके watch पे चला जाता है. Again, the younger sister-in-law sees, "Arey, bhabhi, aapka watch." And she says, no, don't worry, waterproof hai. And luckily now, because of having figured out that water ka second sequence is close to the tap where the ghar ka Vim bar will be, I have an idea. So उसने waterproof कर दिया और instantly बाजू में देखा काम करते करते अरे मेरा soap गल गया. So now if you see, this is part of what we call mise en scène in filmmaking, which is the mounting of a scene. How do I show? I mean, I could have done this scene anywhere else. I could have figured out, nahi, theek hai, ye kahin pe aur fit kar dete hain. But because I was lucky enough to know that Vim bar has to be next to the kitchen sink, I'll also make the aloo and the sequence earlier than that at the kitchen sink. Now it's all come together. It's all coming together. Now you have the Devrani who comes to her and she says, "Aapka bar waterproof nahi tha." And suddenly now you have that egoistic elder sister-in-law saying, "Kya yaar, tu abhi chida rahi hai mere ko," and it becomes like a really cute scene between the two. And you now cut to a product window section. Product window sections are, I mean, some directors love it, some directors don't love it. I love product window sections because I come from animation. So I say now, theek hai, Vim bar ke niche plastic hai. How will I show Vim bar ke niche plastic hai? So I'm going to get a Vim bar from top. ठीक है, तो मेरे को बॉटम दिख जाएगा उसको ऐसे नीचे आते आते बॉटम क्यों देखना है? बिकॉज आई वांट टू शो प्लास्टिक चिपक रहा है. तो एक तरफ से सोप आएगा, एक तरफ से प्लास्टिक आएगा, दोनों जब कांटेक्ट में आएंगे तो ये प्लास्टिक इसको रैप करके नीचे से कवर कर देगा. But what is the sound effect associated? Because you know, the cinema is not just a visual medium. How do I make sure that I push this point of plastic coating better? I use the sound of shields coming on. Suddenly it's not a patla sound. It's not like a chick 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 sound. It's a sound that sounds like, you know, an armor coming on somebody. So you do the soap and then it goes and it's protected like a you know, one of those robots getting their armors on. You then go into a whole segment ke ye दूसरा वाला सोप इतना कम, you know, we have split screens. इधर आपका हीरो प्रोडक्ट है, इधर आपका विलन प्रोडक्ट है. एक 40 दिन में इतना गलता है, इतना हम लोग का ही होता है. हम लोग चीटिंग करते हैं. प्रोडक्ट विंडो में बहुत चीटिंग होती है. If every time you have seen milk being shot, it is oil paint. Every time you have seen chocolate, it is oil paint. We do lots of weird stuff. None of the food on a set is edible because it's all fake. It's painted. But that's the beauty of it. We are in a fantasy world. I always think advertising is for children. Like I'm a child who never grew up, and I've called my 10 best friends, one of them, and we have the best toys in the world, and we are making this project. Like, you know, बच्चे imaginary friends create करते हैं, और ऐसे होगा, फिर इधर से वो कूदेगा, and it's that. I mean, that's exactly what filmmaking is. 10 friends who get together, who are passionate about something, who have a vision, who are playing a game, and you let your imagination run wild. But all the time in advertising, at the back of the head, you have the client and, you know, and the agency, and they're bringing you back. Dave, you can't do this because we have to show this. But it's always good. So script se directors, script hui. Fir aaya treatment note. Abhi I'm not going to show you Vim ka treatment note because I have 3 other films that I want to share with you.
So can I show some films of yours, छोटे-छोटा करके, because अभी तक कुछ दिखाया नहीं है. दिखा सकते हैं क्या? मतलब
मैं दिखा रहा हूँ.
अच्छा, दिखा. ठीक है
मैं दिखाऊं कि तू दिखाए? तेरे पास YouTube है?
मेरे पास है सर, मैं दिखाता हूँ. मेरे पास डाउनलोडेड है सर.
कौन सा? मेरा विम का पूरा कमर्शियल
सब है सर, सब है सर.
मेरा विम का नया वाला जो कमर्शियल है वो
है सर. So आप मैं दिखा लूँ क्या? दिखा दूँ क्या सर?
हाँ प्लीज अभी दिखा दो.
ओके सर. दिख रहा सर? Is it visible? यही है ना सर?
आने तो दो।
यही है सर? Mute है सर आपका? Yep sir.
ये correct है, ये play करो।
Correct है ना? ठीक है sir. I'll play sir. 1 second.
ऑडियो ऑन नहीं किया तुमने निश?
साउंड नहीं आ रहा है।
Second.
Restart and start the audio first.
Okay. 1 second. Sir आप ही दिखा दो sir. I don't know. 1 second sir. 1 second.
You have to reshare.
You'll have to, yeah, you'll have to
Your computer
stop
sound?
sharing and then share again.
Okay, 1 second. Stop
Yeah, there's
sharing.
a button niche. Yeah. When you'll start sharing, नीचे एक column आता है, share with audio.
अब आ रहा है आवाज?
भाभी फोन
रिलैक्स छोटी,
वाटरप्रूफ है। अरे वॉच भाभी
चिल, वाटरप्रूफ है। मेरा बार गल गया।
क्या भाभी ये वाटरप्रूफ नहीं है। ये लीजिए विम बार, सिर्फ इसमें है प्लास्टिक कवर जिससे बार गले कम चले 4 दिन ज्यादा।
अब मेरा बार भी वाटरप्रूफ।
It's a really simple example. You have 20 seconds. मैं जब Bioscopewala बनाने से पहले, when I used to make commercials, we had 30-second masters. Before that, I used to remember in early 2012 or so, you could take a 60-second master, a 90-second master, and you could show it to the client. And the client would say, हाँ ठीक है, ये run करो, if he really liked the film. Now we are in 20 seconds. People's attention spans are squeezing. They come होते रहे, and at 20 seconds to establish characters that you like, to establish a scenario that you like, and still tell the story becomes really, really tough. But you still have to fight on. You still have to make sure that you can tell these stories simply. And now, what is worse is the budgets are becoming shorter. Now, if you see this film, this particular film is shot in Delhi while I was sitting in Bombay. My cameraman was sitting in Bombay. We were on a Zoom call like this, and we have a on-location guy who's taking instructions and directing everything, so that I can say, हाँ इसको थोड़ा सा write करो, नहीं अभी वापस बुलाओ. And we've done rehearsals with the actors, and we've told them not to take the line like this, take the line like this. So it's a lot of hard work. Things are changing constantly. Okay, so going back to my.
Sir, can I share one more sir? या आप करोगे sir? मैं मेरे पास काफी
बोर हो रहा है, मैं बक कर रहा हूँ.
नहीं सर, बोर नहीं हो रहे सर. एक मेरे पास बायोस्कोप वाला शूट, I'll share sir. It's a good one sir. कोई भी जरा लॉट ऑफ सर टाइम्स नाउ का है, ओट्रिविन सर जो हमने किया था. उसके बाद मोर्टीन है सर, नॉर, किसान, हॉर्लिक्स, हिप्पो.
मैं एक फॉर्मेट तय करके लाया हूँ.
ओके आपका ठीक है, ऑलराइट सर. ओके
Okay, so I'm taking share screening away from you because control on this thing now. Okay, so I'm going ahead. So we were talking about script, the director script, the treatment note, and the storyboard. So at this point, what I feel that we should do is quickly understand what are the departments in on a film set. I don't know, for some reason I can't see everyone's faces. Oh yeah, okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm not very good with Zoom because we use Microsoft Teams. It's slightly different. Okay, can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm actually pretty sure everybody is very clear about these departments. These are the most popular departments. Everybody understands this. Direction is anything that has to do with choice. Anything that has to do with making a choice. कि shirt सफेद रंग का होगा कि काले रंग का होगा, pants सफेद रंग की काली रंग, whatever. All these decisions, whether it's this location, that location, whether the camera angle has to be put at this size or this size, or if you want to do a really tight close-up, all of these, including what the actor says, how he says it, what is the emotion behind it, how do you want to control how the sound of it is, all decision-making powers rest with direction. Production comes in second. Production are the enablers. They not just handle the money, they make things happen. You want a Jimmy Jip on set, they will make sure it's there. You want 40 extras who are dressed in a suit and are walking in one direction, they will make it happen that they are on set or on that day. Production is invisible. It's a thankless job. Nobody knows what they're doing. They're always running around like crazy. They're on set before anybody else. It's a horrible job, but it's a very fulfilling job. I know that. I know that some of the people who start off in production end up in direction, and that's always good, because if a direction team member knows what it is to work behind the scenes to make things happen, he becomes that much more human to everybody involved. A cinematographer is your cameraman, and he's essentially in charge of the visual aesthetic. He's in charge of composition. He's in charge of, along with the director, understanding color. He's in charge of whether you want to manipulate the camera in a handheld motion so that it moves in at a certain point, so that you want to pay special attention, special stress on something. Cinematography is a trained thing. You have to go to film school, or you have to at least be a great still photographer to become a cinematographer. It's also extremely technical, because since film cameras came out and cameras went out and digital cameras came in, things have changed. A whole generation of cinematographers never managed to make that change and got left behind. From going from film stock, जैसे वो film strips जैसे negatives दिखा देते थे, from going from that into a hard drive, they just didn't manage to change, and they got left behind. An editor, as you know, is somebody who is in charge of cutting the film together. There are two kinds of editors, essentially. There is an offline editor and an online editor. The offline editor's job is to piece things together. You know, if we do another session one day, I'll talk about the classic. I will speak about what is secondary significance to meaning, where two images, one after the other, can mean something completely different from what the individual meaning of those two images stands for. But in the storytelling of deciding कि ये shot ऐसे लगेगी, उसके बाद हम लोग उसी line के close-up पे जाएंगे, फिर उसके बाद क्या करेंगे ना, जो दूसरी लड़की है उसका एक reaction, उसमें line नहीं है, पर उसका एक reaction डाल देते हैं. So the director in his storyboard has already decided what comes after what. But now it comes into practice, and sometimes you realize you're rewriting the script at an editing table because of this choice, and that's a very important thing. The second kind of an editor is an online editor. He's more in charge of the visual aspect of things, the corrections. कहीं पे मैंने VFX में किसी को rope लगा के लटकाया है, वो rope clean up करना. कहीं पे मैंने chroma के against एक shot लिया है, so I have to take out the chroma and I have to put a beautiful blue sky where there was no blue sky because suddenly it decided to rain in Bombay that day. So all of these things come under this online editor. Then there is sound design. Sound design again has two aspects. One is the pre-aspect and the post aspect. In the pre-aspect, it's about deciding what has to be done. On location, there'll be an on-location guy with a boom. He'll make sure that all the dialogues are taken correctly so that it can be put together. Sometimes you'll decide, अरे यार यहाँ का ambience sound बहुत अच्छा है. You know, with the trees and the birds, everything's sounding very good. So please get me that track so that when I have this beautiful morning sequence of old uncle and auntie going for a jog and meeting and falling in love, I have the sound of sparrows in the background. So the sound design sound recordist will record it, give it to the sound designer, who in the post will put it over there after cleaning out dirty sounds in it. Then there is a production designer. The production designer is essentially the person who decides on what goes into your frame other than the human beings. So props कैसे हैं? कोई hero prop है जो hero पकड़ता है, product दिखाता है. कोई bike है तो bike के ऊपर का कोई effect कैसे है? Stickers कैसे हैं? अगर shop है तो how is the shop done? I'm doing a film right now for a very premium brand where for some reason the agency has written a kirane ki dukaan. And you can't put like a premium brand in a kirane ki dukaan because any reference I showed you, kirane ki dukaan aise dikhne wali, they will never accept it because there'll be some gora in the room who will say, can we make it in like a soft peach? I said, no, kirane ki dukaan cannot be made in soft peach. But that's what a production designer does. Then there is an art director. An art director is basically the guy who actually runs the whole carpentry and the painter's set. He is not generally somebody who is very aesthetically driven, but he knows how to execute for the production designer. Then there is a casting director. Again, a huge responsibility. Who plays what? How do I find out of those thousands of people who live in Aramnagar and try to come, madam, please audition? How do you make sure that they are the right face? So you have to tell them, pitch aise karo, say these lines like that. So that I also sometimes end up looking at these casting guys and saying, it's a difficult job. It's not an easy job. Then there is costumes, which is what it says, which is basically who wears what. But it's not as simple as that, because now already the director has decided on a palette on what the production designer has decided what color the walls are. And now the costume has to decide the color of the walls has to go with the color of the costume, and the brand colors has to come in. So it's not an easy job again. Hair and makeup is what it is, hair and makeup. And locations is just a department that takes care of permissions and making sure that if in a script that you've gotten, you need a mango tree under which there is one little boy who's looking up and saying, ye aam aisa hai. You need to find a mango tree which has a bungalow in the back so the mother can be seen. So this is the departments that we deal with. And this is the evolution of the idea. Anish is thinking, yaar, abhi to video dikha do koi. And I'm just going on.
Sir, I must tell everybody that Sir has directed Nawazuddin Siddiqui, Huma Qureshi, Virat Kohli, celebrities, greatest. Just
we can go. Why are we doing this? If they like me, they like me. You don't have to sell me, man.
I have the same, so I feel responsible, sir. I don't know.
It's so simple. It's easy. They like it. They like it. It doesn't matter who I've shot with.
No, great. Go ahead. It is actually perfect.
Thank you. So idea, word, image, and execution. It's easy to have an idea. Okay. But how do I convey that idea to somebody else? I use words. First, I use spoken words, and then I write a script. So idea gets converted into word. I now need to figure out. Okay, I write young Indian woman. But a young Indian woman could mean anything from, you know, a rural girl to a posh city girl. So the image becomes important. And from image, now I need to see, I have reference nikala ye Google image search karke Indian pretty rural girl, ye image hai. She becomes now a thing for the whole team to come together and start execution so that I can really find the girl. So casting director will find the girl, then costume will put the costume on her, makeup will put the makeup on her, director will come and brief her, say, I want you to walk in a certain way so that it's not like a city girl, but it's like a fun, cool, young, rural girl who has no hang-ups about what people will think. And suddenly you've created a character. So this is an evolution of that. What I want to go to quickly now is, hold on. If I change my, I'm going to take you through 3 commercial storyboards right now, quickly, okay? One is a film for Times Now that I had done a few years back. If I've opened Times Now right now, can you guys see it? No, or I have to stop?
Share again.
Oh, right, okay. So I'm stopping now and I'm going to share again. Now you can see it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'm going to. So this is a script for Lal Batti that we had done some time back about how jab politicians travel karte hain to Lal Batti chali jati hai, you know, barricades lag jate hain, police aa jati hai. So there was a thing that we had done with Arnab years ago. And the idea was we used existing footage of Arnab talking in an interview that he had done, and we created a whole film around it. And I decided to shoot it in black and white and decided to put a red color Lal Batti, which is the only red colored thing in that whole film. So, you know, the TVC opens inside a cramped ambulance. This is the script that was written. So you take it from the script and you make a storyboard out of it. So as you hear the thing, you sort of describe the storyboard inside. So this old father is having a heart attack. He's in the back of an ambulance. The young son gets affected. He says, "Kya ho raha hai? Why is the ambulance not going ahead?" The mother gets really affected by it. He speaks to the driver. The driver says, "Kya karu sab, traffic laga hai. I don't know what to do." So then the young son gets out of the car. As he gets out of the car, he says, "Uske aage bahut sara traffic hai." So he starts running desperately through the traffic, trying to find a way, making threats to people. Please, aage gaadi badhao, you know. And the guys are like, "What do I do? Aage, you know, hamare aage bhi gaadi hai, barricade laga hua hai." So he goes through, and there's a police over there, and the police is like, you know, he's relaxed, he's not, you know, really paying attention to what's happening. He says, "Please, my father is stuck over there, and why don't you help me get him out of there?" And he says, "Wait, let me see what I can do." As soon as he says, "Let me see what I can do," उसका हाथ जोड़ता है उसके सामने. And now the police guy looks towards the right, and you realize कि जो politicians, the police guys who were traveling across are now, the politicians that were coming across are now going to come. So they all turn towards it and they do a salute. And the politician goes by, everybody cheers. Finally, the barricade is open, the traffic starts to move. The young son now runs back to the ambulance, but unfortunately, the old man has passed away. Now, he doesn't know what to do. He's struck by what has happened, and the super comes in against Red, and he says, we will raise our voice till this doesn't change. Now, the idea of this was very scary because I thought ये थोड़ा melodramatic ना हो जाए. So I had to make sure that we make it real beyond real, where you don't judge it for how cinematically it is done. So we decided to do an almost documentary approach to the film. And now I'm going to stop sharing and show you the film itself. And because of the fact that we are on the internet and the speeds are varying, sometimes this, you will get a slight lag. So I'm going to see if I can play this multiple times if I have to. But hopefully you will be able to see it and hear it. You can see my screen now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm just playing it, okay?
Audio missing.
It's connected to my Bluetooth speaker, standard.
Saying security is an excuse. If the US president in Washington goes wrong, I don't think there is any.
Okay, so I'm going to share again.
Joining this debate tonight, do you think it is feasible to do away with all these traffic obstacles that accompany the VIP movement?
We cannot compromise public convenience. We should not close the road. Do we also go about compromising the security aspect?
For security, what do you want to do? Simplest thing is shut down all the roads. Are you saying security is an excuse? If the US president in Washington doesn't close the roads, I don't think there is any real reason. Will VVIPs inconvenience themselves a little bit? Will they?
We are a totally indisciplined people.
Why blame the people? Why blame the people? If today people are angry, it is because of complete apathy of police. Do they even worry? Or is it root lagane ka hai, laga deo? Beacons are a symbol of the Raj. Why do they need these insignias of authority? This is an extravagance. People who are going for operations have paid with their lives for not reaching on time because of security. There's no more important debate than whose right or way this is.
I'm going to play it one more time, just watch it again. And this time what I want you to do is to keep in mind that little storyboard that I had shown you and look for similarities, visual similarities between how the storyboard was framed and how this was framed. And understand how sometimes words are melodramatic and images might look melodramatic, but if the director chooses a certain treatment, when he chooses black and white, when he chooses handheld cameras, when the pitching of the actors is not melodrama but realistic, how the film can change. Have a look at it again, please.
Joining this debate tonight, do you think it is feasible to do away with all these traffic obstacles that accompany the VIP movement?
We cannot compromise public convenience. We should not close the road. Do we also go about compromising the security aspect?
For security, what do you want to do? Simplest thing is shut down all the roads. Are you saying security is an excuse? If the US president in Washington doesn't close the roads, I don't think there is any real reason. Will VVIPs inconvenience themselves a little bit? Will they?
We are a totally indisciplined people.
Why blame the people? Why blame the people? If today people are angry, it is because of complete apathy of police. Do they even worry? Or is it root lagane ka hai, laga deo? Beacons are a symbol of the Raj. Why do they need these insignias of authority? This is an extravagance. People who are going for operations have paid with their lives for not reaching on time because of security. There's no more important debate than whose right or way this is.
Sir, people also would be, interested in knowing about some experience about Bioscopewala, sir, the film. So, okay.
So this was an attempt right now to show you what a storyboard looks like versus what a actual film can look like, because it can still go in different ways. What I was thinking, if you want me, Anish, if you genuinely want me to talk about Bioscopewala, I can do that. But I was actually thinking maybe taking you through one more animated film, because I do VFX as a specialty. So I think there are people who might be interested in that. What should we do, guys? Raise hands, whoever is. Should we do that? Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you one more storyboard actually. This is for a Mortien film I did. So for many years in the middle, every Mortien film that you saw was mine, because they decided that Louis is something that they were really married to, and everyone remembers Louis, right? So for about 2 years in the middle, all the Louis films that came, they gave to me. It was a lot of fun because I got to do his voice also. View. Okay, you can see my screen. Again, this is a 2-year-old commercial, I think, maybe 2017, I can't remember. But this is actually a whole board. So I can actually take you through the whole board. So this is the script. So he says, no. Oh, no, this is the wrong storyboard. No, this is the right storyboard. So the storyboard starts here. The final script has changed. That's why these dialogues are not there anymore. So you have Louis and his friends, and they're all machas of the thing, and they're all hanging out, and they're talking to each other, and वो ऐसे show off कर रहा है. And he says, you know what, this is what we're going to do. And you cut to them flying in, and as they enter, they fly inside and they attack, and they go around the house, and he gets hit by smoke at one point. As he hits by smoke, he comes down, he says, "Arey, coil." And he says, "Look, फिर से ये slow coil, देखो मैं मर गया." So he does like a whole performance, कैसे चक्कर वक्कर आता है, उसको दिल पकड़ता है ऐसे करके, he falls down faint, वो मर जाता है. वो मर जाता है तो उसके भाई लोग सब उसको देख के बोलते हैं, "अरे क्या हो गया?" और वो छुपके से आँख खोलता है. He says, "अच्छा मैं मर गया हाँ." And he laughs, ha 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 ha. उसके चमचे भी हंसते हैं सब लोग. All the चमचास think that क्या मस्त performance किया है. He gets up and he says, "देखो मैं फिर से एक बार मरता हूँ." And he pretends to die again. जैसे he pretends to die again, पीछे से एक हाथ आता है, and it puts one Insta card, which is a new kind of a Mortien thing that they invented. कि one card you burn and it kills the mosquitoes in your house, and it comes on, and then he says, "बस मोड़िए, जलाइए और बुझाइए," and simple. And then by this time, all the others have सब चमचे शांत हो गए. All the cronies have become quiet. So Louis is wondering why nobody's laughing at him. So he opens one eye and he comes out, and there's a whole track shot where we track out backwards, and you realize that all his friends have died around him. तो बेचारा वो भागने लगता है, पीछे देखता है तो Instacart से all these red arrows start shooting out, and they follow him, and they come and stab him in the back, and he dies. And unfortunately, Louis dies in every film. But it's really cute. So this is what a storyboard is like. So then we said, production design कैसे होगा? छोटे बच्चे की room होगी. So छोटे बच्चे के खिलौने, shoes, this and that. This is what we'll do for production design. So these are the references. What will the lighting be like? There'll be like some evening light coming in, because mosquitoes come in the evening. So we did evening light. What is the location like? I'll create a location over here. So you'll take this bungalow and we'll convert it into what we want to make it. There are multiple options to it. Then there was a reference of composition. How small is Louis going to be? So in comparison to Louis, how big is the bucket of toys and everything? So you just look at these references. When he runs, what is his size versus what is the size of the room? It's not easy to do this. Then an audio reference, then a coil reference. You do all of this because all of this matters to the client. So now that I've shown you this, let me show you the actual film, so that you can understand how things change from script to screen. So this is the film. 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 So Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dengue left, chicken gunya right. Bagi mere piche. फिर से ये स्मोक कॉइल. अच्छा मैं मर गया. लो मैं फिर मर गया. स्मोक कॉइल के बदले चलाइए नया एक्टिव TFT वाला मॉर्टिन इंस्टाकार्ट. इसे मोड़ो, चलाओ और बुझाओ. आसान. मॉर्टिन इंस्टाकार्ट 5 गुना तेजी से मार गिराए.
We'll play it once more. Again, this time, remember the storyboard, how it was, and see how similar things are or different things are. Also, this time, please pay attention to 2-3 things I showed you. This time, I went into the treatment note. So look for evening light, look for little things around the house that cue a child's room. Look at how the camera is actually flying through the room. Look at how when you go into the corner where Louis is on the floor, how the shoes look or how the underside of the cupboard looks. Look for these things.
Louis, dengue left, chicken gunya right. Bagi mere piche. फिर से ये स्मोक कॉइल. अच्छा मैं मर गया. मैं फिर मर गया. स्मोक कॉइल के बदले चलाइए नया एक्टिव TFT वाला मॉर्टिन इंस्टाकार्ट. इसे मोड़ो, चलाओ और बुझाओ. आसान. मॉर्टिन इंस्टाकार्ट 5 गुना तेजी से मार गिराए.
Okay, we're now at 5:59. I've officially finished my 1 hour with you.
Kira.
Yes, another commercial spin.
Where are you?
Okay, so I don't know what to do next. Should we do a quick question and answer session if that helps? Because I'm done.
Yeah, that would be helpful if a few questions.
Yes, anybody who is interested to ask any question to sir can ask anything about filmmaking, about his experience, the learnings he had, anything.
If you guys want advertising as a career, how do you want to go about it, or what is your area of interest? Anything, I'm here.
So, good evening, sir.
Hi, Devansh.
Hello, sir. So, I mean, sir, we are MBA students. So, is there any scope for us? Like, I am planning to do from analytics as a specialization. But today, I discovered this कि ये मेरा passion. मतलब, I found this thing very attractive. I can say, yes, I can do this thing. So, how? If someone wants to in future, so what he can do?
Do you want me to tell you at a philosophical level or at a realistic level?
Anything, sir.
Philosophical level, let me tell you, my friend, age does not matter. What you've studied up till now, what your plans are up till now, none of it matters. Do what you want. Always push for it. I mean, I had nobody in filmmaking. I come from my father's in manufacturing. My whole family, including my grandfather, to all my kakas and my buas, husband, everybody is cops. So we have 3 DGs in the family. But I'm not involved with that. Do what you want. It isn't easy because there is a lot of struggle with kids who figured out what they wanted to do when they were 18 and 19, didn't want to go to college, instead came and started assisting on sets, and have now at the age of 24, 25 started directing. Does that mean it's impossible for you to do what you want? No. You figure out what you want. You take that risk with life. My advice always is save enough money, work and save enough money so that 1 year you can live on your own in Bombay. And in that 1 year, you intern. You go to the best directors, everybody you know, and say, I don't want a single rupee, I just want to learn. And then that's the best way. So figure out how you can do. Take risks, but take calculated risks. You have an MBA degree with you. When you're done with this, there will be jobs waiting. So yeah, it's okay. Take a risk. If there is passion, there is. See, it's a crazy world. You have rags to riches story. Overnight, किसी ने एक film बना दी उसका. Like Siddhant कुछ नहीं था before Gully Boy came out and he became MC Share. Today, everybody is running And Aditya Chopra went to the Excel office and said, I want to represent this boy. It's a big thing. Well, it's possible, my friend. Go for it.
I will try. Surely.
Good. More questions, please.
I just want to say that this movie, like I searched you over Google, like before the session, I found out that you have made Bioscopewala. So there was this time when on Star Plus, all over this advertisement used to come, and I was having my exams at that point of time, and I had scheduled it that I will watch it, but somehow I missed it. And till now, whenever it's coming on Star Gold or something, I have this thing that I have to watch this. I have to watch this. It has a quite different kind of story, and I did read about the reviews and all that, and I just want to congratulate that. Thank you for making that thing, and definitely I would be watching it.
Can I say something?
You can watch it now.
Can I say something, sir? So I just recommend everybody to watch Bioscopewala. Why I'm telling you, because I think that movie can be compared to some of the greatest movies in Hollywood and some of the greatest movies in Bollywood. And it is like, if you watch it, you will remember it for all your life. It's such a great masterpiece. And this is from heart. I'm not just promoting anybody, and
I'm really proud of that film. I am really proud of that film. I think it's a really special film. We got 3.5, 4.5 on every review. And yet nobody got to see the film. Diksha, you're not the only person who didn't see it.
I know. Like, but the thing is that at least I know that it exists. And also, like, since I'm 24 and I've always seen Danny in a negative role. And so like I don't know if he's having a positive or a negative role in the movie, but according to the trailer, I was able to figure out that he has a positive sort of attitude in the movie. So I'm really curious to see even Danny in a positive role.
Please do see it. I think Danny sir has taught me more than anybody else I know. Purely just madness of what his life is. He turned 70 on my set, and he is insane. Typecast ho gaya aadmi. He could have become bigger than anybody else. He could have been bigger than Amit ji. Yeah.
More questions, please. Abhilash has a question, it seems.
I don't see it.
No, sorry, I don't actually.
You don't have.
Yeah.
And I'll share. I want to share something. When I was watching Bioscopewala, at the end, जब end होता है, for 5 minutes I was crying continuously, and I recorded a video. I wanted to send it to sir. That impact it has after the end. So it is like, it's a great watch, and it's a 90-minute watch. It takes a lot of courage for a director to go on and create a 90-minute movie, because we are habitual of watching three hours movie. And it takes a lot of understanding and confidence to create that. And I mean, Deb sir is like, you should see him on sets.
I remember when we premiered at the Tokyo International Film Festival, and it was really strange because we landed there, and it's a very lovely, it's a closed country, so not many English speakers. So I was very worried, who's going to understand what there is, and it's about, Bioscopewala is about Afghanistan, it's about war, and it's about Bengal and Calcutta and what was lost when you grow up, and how childhood, people from your childhood are so important. And it's a really emotional film. And I said, perhaps this was not the right place to show the film in Tokyo. And yet we came out of, I remember so there were 3 screenings. And we came out of the screening, and the 3 screens led to, so it was a world premiere. So there were 3 screens that led to one central area. And I was mobbed. I was mobbed by women who were crying, and they were holding on to me. They were like little women, and they were hugging me because they'd all lost their fathers. It's a father-daughter story. And it was incredible. I signed autographs, which I've never gotten used to doing since then or now. it was too funny. It was heartbreaking because nobody saw. I mean, everybody who's seen it in the country has like, you should listen to Rajiv Masan's little piece on it. It's every time I feel low about myself and where I thought Bioscopewala will take me, I go back to Rajiv Masan's review of the film, and I'm like, okay, which is nice. But please, it's on Hotstar. It's free to watch. Do watch it. And my numbers are easy to find. My email is easy to find. Write to me. Tell me what you thought about the film. I will look forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you. I think, it was a wonderful session. I think it was a brief curtain raiser of what the whole world of advertising is all about. And I think, if time permits in future, and if you have the availability, I think we can have more of Deb with our students, where probably we can pick up one small pieces of this entire journey and try to go deeper into it. Say how ideation is done. If you can talk about, if you can help our students know how your creative, stuff is created. What is the, start point? Where do you get the stimulus from?
Yeah.
Those are the rudimentary and the fundamental things which, if students can understand, I think that would be of great help for them to be as great leaders.
I was actually going to do a second, the further slides I was going to do was about how to make yourself indispensable.
Right.
ऐसे script लिखो कोई और director कर ही ना सके. The dialogue perspective that you have should be such that no other director can bring what you've brought to the table, and therefore the film is yours.
So maybe something like a session on how do you brand yourself as an individual. If you can do something of that sort, maybe a month later, maybe brand yourself the Deb Medhekar style. So can it could be a branded product which can probably be given off to all the students, and they can say, okay, Sam, this particular style.
Absolutely.
So that would be wonderful. So Anish, you can actually see how you can plan this out.
Yes, sir. And sir, also I want to say, I know Deb sir is going to kill me after this, but I have to say this, that I've seen many people in the industry, but the passion he has for cinema is something else. And he wants everybody to be in cinema. He wants people to work. He told me once that have this courage to pull people up and above you and become more than you. And that is the kind of man he is. And all his films, art films, the feature film, everything he has done before, it's amazing. Should follow him. I'm not, because he stays away from media. He's not interested in media and public attention, but I recommend everybody to follow him and see what he does. He's an amazing person.
Good.